was starkly clear. The long rule of dictatorial Robert Mugabe, which was listing into an ill-thought family dynasty, had to end. The fateful occasion was marked by no iota of violence, absolutely no looting and mayhem, showing the maturity of the people of this country. At close of day, the demonstrators cleaned up the streets and left Harare spotlessly clean for usual business. This is our Zimbabwe. Our Zimbabwe, which receives a lot of standing ovation because of that. Zimbabwe is a land of bountiful diversity of mineral resources. It has soils and climate that rewards all sorts of farming endeavors. To cap it is a rich flora and fauna that is a marvel to world tourism. It has hub-like geographical location at the heart of a sub-region that has so much economic promise on a global scale. As one who has been involved in the sub-regional affairs, you can't imagine the hope out there about where Zimbabwe should take this whole region to. Zimbabwe's population is youthful, very well educated, and potentially capable of performing on the par to any other, as evidenced by its diasporans. It is well regarded and much valued by the various host countries. I heard it personally from the rulers of futuristic Abu Dhabi just recently. Looking around our neighbors, the neighboring economic powerhouse, that is South Africa, is giving residents to Zimbabweans to work there. Universities in developed and advanced nations from USA, UK, and China clamor for Zimbabwe students. This is the Zimbabwe we are, and we deserve more. We deserve better. There's reason to highlight this backdrop. I'm interested in this august workshop to be keenly focused on the type of Zimbabwe the deliberations are meant to address and serve. That is the Zimbabwe we all want. Luckily, the events of 17 November also addressed the issue of political leadership in a pleasing manner. His Excellency President E.D. Mnangagwa took the helm. He has been a breath of fresh air who has opened the democratic space deep and wide. In July 2018, the nation held elections that won plaudits and accolades, with international observers scoring the expanse of the land to see Zimbabweans vote freely and orderly. And this, once again, honorable members, ladies and gentlemen, I just came where Zimbabweans were given a standing ovation by the SADC Parliamentary Forum, which includes both members of parliament from ruling parties and opposition, when they said the elections were really free and fair. They saw democracy at space. Yes, a violent hiccup on the morrow of this orderly exercise of democracy dented us, which is unfortunate, but did not damage this test of political maturity among our people. On the economic front, the new president's deft footwork has been very busy on the global investment arena. He lost no time to declare the country open for business, as he sought to exorcise the ghost of the pariah nation plagued by sanctions from key cooperating economic partners. Even the intentionally ill-thought domestic policies which were in the old dispensation, particularly the Indigenization Act, which had made Zimbabwe a business cesspit with wholesale capital flight, the order of the economic day. All that is passed behind us. It is in this context that His Excellency the President has called for reforms that will free our people, deepen democracy, and create an environment conducive for national growth. Some of the major items on our national interest list include peace, unity, and economic prosperity. One of the key ingredients to attain peace, unity, and prosperity is when the nation is well informed, so people make the right choices and the right decisions. We need to have a knowledge society so that we have citizens that add value to the national development agenda. The media plays a very important role in creating an informed society. It is for this reason that some have referred to the media as the fourth estate. It thus goes without saying that if the nation is going to attain national prosperity, the media sector has a very important role to play. If the media has to play that crucial role, it needs an enabling environment. That enabling environment is made possible by a good legal framework and a sector that pursues best practices. It is thus my wish as the Minister of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services that at the end of this workshop, we should be able to proceed to the next stage of creating that good legal environment and creating a media policy that will promote nothing and nothing but the best in the media sector. It is thus the ministry's objective that this engagement should really craft a media legal environment that mediates the growth of a vibrant media sector, that promotes rights, that safeguards national sovereignty and drives national development. We need a strong and vibrant media so we can project our national viewpoint both to the domestic and international audiences strongly so that we make our country competitive once more again. That national viewpoint comes from a two-way communication between the government and its people. Let's forget about them and us. It never helped us. We have had dead decade lost. We need to move together. The laws that have shaped and have been regulating the industry include the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation Commercialization Act of 2001 that unbundled the national broadcaster, the infamous Access to Information and Protection of Privacy Act, APA, that is predominantly aimed at the print media, and the Broadcasting Services Act, which regulates electronic media. If there is anything, and if there is anything in these laws that you think it's not progressive, this is the time. It is today. This is the time to say it out so we make amends. More importantly, in 2013, Zimbabwe adopted a new constitution, as the Permanent Secretary earlier said. It is important that we study the constitution and our laws and ensure that there is no law in our sector which is not in harmony with the supreme law of the land. To that end, the ministry in 2014 commissioned an Information and Media Panel of Inquiry, IMPI, and I have heard the chairperson of that IMPI, the person who was the chairing that IMPI is the Mr. Geoff Nyarota. I'm happy you're here. We have to look at that, among other many things. So the ministry is certainly sought to, the state of the findings and recommendations of that inquiry are also at our disposal to guide us as we collectively see it fit. As I get to the end of my speech, let us take note. Let us take note that our President, His Excellency E.D. Mnangagwa, has put the interim period November 2017 to July 2018 to articulate clear economic vision of Zimbabwe attaining middle-income nation status by 2030. This can be easily achievable goal, and some people will wonder and not think it's possible. Why? I think because the fundamental issue of sound government leadership has now been addressed. President Mnangagwa is doing away with all the backward village chief inclinations of the old order. As we sit here, he is sparing no effort to reach out to all Zimbabweans as he seeks to rule through inclusiveness. He is bending backwards to reach out to his rivals, unhindered by the noise of detractors. He has set his eyes firmly on internal peace and is determined to walk the talk.